imagine the moment when your portfolio goes up into the tens of millions. What are you actually going to do? Like, how are you actually going to be taking profit? Now let's zoom out. Now that we've got out of this kind of, come on, keep zooming. Now that we've got out of that imaginary situation that we all are hoping to happen, I hope that that made some sort of emotional connection to you in your heart. And I know on this channel we say a lot of things like no emotion, stay emotionless, and separate yourselves from the wild FOMO that exists when the prices go up and go down. But a common question I've been getting a lot recently is, how do we actually sell? Like what do you actually do when you sell? What avenues are you taking? What platforms are you using? And I'm gonna reveal all of that in this video. So let's get straight into it. And before I start, everything I'm about to say is what I am doing as the plan stands right now. That's subject to change, not based on emotions, but maybe other platforms offer better opportunities or better options for what I'm looking for. So let's get into the first one, the normal sale. Now for this, we're talking essentially about my Uphold holdings. And if you don't know already, I hold my XDC as the only asset, apart from pounds, but we'll get into that in a second, that I hold on an exchange. I typically try to avoid holding cryptocurrencies on exchanges because when your crypto is on an exchange, it's not your crypto, it's their crypto. They're just showing you a representation of the money that you've put in crypto. So it's very nuanced, but essentially you don't actually have custody when it's on an exchange. That's why we say, put it on a cold storage wallet and then it truly is yours. And there's a link to my trusted cold storage wallet in the description. And so I hold my XDC on Uphold. And the great thing about Uphold is that it kind of teams up as a bank. It's kind of like a dual offering here. And so you get a sort code, like an account number, essentially a bank account, and you can hold pounds or dollars or euros in Uphold. And so that will be quite easy for me when the time comes and I'm looking to sell off some of my assets. And before I continue, I'm not selling my XRP. I'll only be taking profits from XDC and XLM when the time comes. And through the XDC on a normal sale of my crypto, I'll just do that through Uphold and essentially convert all of my crypto into the bank account that I have in Uphold. And that will make it easier then to move it around and, move it into assets that I want to move it into, or just use for my normal life. And a lot of this might seem like very elementary. Some of you might be way further advanced than this, but this is super important to actually truly understand how these things work, the actual system that you can use to let go of some crypto. Because when the time comes, your brain's not going to be thinking properly, right? And this came up in a one-on-one consultation call that I do for lots of people. There's a link in the description to book one. And they essentially just wanted to know what I was going to do for my profit taking. Where am I selling? How am I selling? What am I selling into? Like all these questions that people have, and you might have questions just like that as well. So if it's of interest, the link is below. So that's the normal sale. That's really easy, and bear in mind that when you sell that and it comes into your bank account, you're gonna get taxed on that, right? That's all taxed. But what this title said for this video was fast and unique profit options. Like, how can we move our profits in a unique way to make the most of them, but also nice and efficiently to secure our wealth made in XRP and then also generate wealth moving forward. And this is where it gets really interesting, in my opinion, because the more you become familiar with these concepts I'm about to go over, the better you're going to be after this pump comes or when the next bull run happens and you need to start taking profits. At least you know what needs to happen. And the next option is staking. So utilizing the assets that you've got to generate an interest yield. Now, when we're talking about XRP, for example, it's not proof of stake, so it can't technically be staking, but what it can be is a word called lending. But the thing is, we've never been the lender. This is why it's really important. We've always been the borrower. When it's the mortgage, we borrow. When we want a loan, we borrow, and somebody else is the lender, the bank. As this transition happens, we start to become the bank. We start to become the lender, and we can actually lend our assets, the assets that are so valuable, to banks and financial institutions. Now, if you don't believe this is happening, there are massive things happening in this space, right? Don't hold me to this, but I think PolySign acquired MG Stover, who essentially are going to be working with PolySign. Bear in mind, PolySign is not going to be given interest yields. They're just going to be doing custody of your crypto, but they'll be working with partners like MG Stover to offer these interest yields in kind. And what I mean by that is, let's get in. Let's get in here again. Let's get the remote. In kind means you put up your crypto and you get paid back in that same crypto in kind. So these things aren't happening very often, and these are all very new. These are very new to this space, but they won't be as we continue on forward. We will start to see the likes of BNY Mellon, Bank of America, Bank of England, all of them starting to offer these services via partners, probably via polysign, or standard custody. And so don't for a second think just because they're not happening at a widespread rate right now, they're gonna happen. And MG Stover is kind of that first move into that world. And all you'll do in this case is you'll take your ledger, your cold storage wallet, and potentially even have it on a warm wallet, like a MetaMask or something, which scares me a little bit, but you could probably do this too. And you essentially hand over the custody of your assets and lend them out to these big institutions who will use those assets to invest and make more money, and then therefore give you an interest return or a yield or a dividend, depending on how you're structuring your company. And at all times, you're able to kind of withdraw your crypto and have it back in your custody. And if you're thinking, I don't want to give custody of my stuff to the banks, you already do it. Who owns your house? Who owns your house? The bank. Because if you got a mortgage, the bank owns your house. Where is all your cash? Is it under your bed? Is it in your mattress? No, it's in the bank. The bank own your money. If you want to take it out, right now is probably a bit of a struggle to take that money out, but you take that money out and it's yours again, right? But you are given the perception that it's all yours in the bank too. There is no difference here with the crypto. Just like cash, you give your crypto to the bank, they utilize that crypto, you are the lender in this situation, and you essentially become the lender and they pay you an interest based on the investments and the value of what you've just given them. Now, also another thing to mention here, these incentives from banks to rich people have always existed. Right? Rich people have always got the best deal. When it comes to us, the normal people, we never see these deals. So we look at our bank accounts and think, oh man, we get 0.01% interest on this. It's like inflation is absolutely destroying my money, my holdings. But rich people always have these other options. And the great thing is, when the price goes up for us, we are one of the rich people. We get access to these better deals, these better interest rates, these different situations that we never would have had the opportunity to have in the past. And so please unlock that idea that we can, in fact, become the lenders when we have such high portfolio values and demand these yields. One thing to note is that these yields will be subject to tax, and it all varies on how you structure your business, and if you even have a business or however it's structured, there will be tax related to the income, the dividends, or the yield from your assets through a bank. Next up are loans. Utilizing your assets to create loans could potentially be one of the riskier things you could do, right? But there is a way to mitigate that risk and do such a thing with assets that have the lowest amount of risk in terms of liquidation. Let me get into that. So the way I have things structured is that I'm taking profits into actual cash with my XLM and XDC as the price continues to move up. There's multiple indicators for that I'm kind of looking at, but we can cover that in another video. Let me know if you want to see that video in the comments. But my XRP holds a very special position in my portfolio. It's not going anywhere. And so the first option that we talked about, like the normal sale, that's not going to be my XRP. That's going to be my XLM and my XDC. And maybe if I hold minuscule amounts of other tokens, I'll do that with those too, because I'm not married to them. But the one I'm married to is XRP. So I'm going to see if there are options for me to generate an interest yield with my XRP, with a portion. But there's also the whole other thing that you can do with your XRP, collateralized loans. And so you can take your XRP, again, to the bank or a financial institution or a company that is able to kind of give you funding, and you use your XRP to say, I want to take out a loan based on this value. So let's say the value is $10 million that your XRP is worth. They might give you a loan to value of about half, 50%. So you get $50 million. Hey, I've just been watching that back and I said $10 million. I meant $100 million. Okay, let's get back to it. Now, here's where the problem happens, and I'm going to tell you not to do something, and this maybe is financial advice. Let me zoom in. With that $50 million, with the 50 million, the loan, don't buy a Ferrari. Okay? What we need to be doing is buying cash flowing assets with that loan. Okay? So if we look at XRP, let's zoom out a little bit. We got XRP that we believe as utility rolls out and more use case and more value gets added to the XRP ledger, we start to see something like this with the price, rather than the up and down speculation bouncing that we typically see. So we have all this XRP that really over time just continues to go up as more companies, countries, banks start using it. And so with XRP uniquely, the risk on the collateralized loan side of things of the price going down and then liquidating your loan, and basically the bank taking your XRP because its value dropped too much to pay the loan back, kind of reduces that risk, right? But then also, when you're getting a loan to value on your XRP, as XRP continues to go up in price, you're actually paying off your loan easier. And here's why. Because when we buy cash flowing assets, let's say we buy with our 50 million, we buy 10 apartment complexes and they've got loads of apartments within there and they're all generating a cash flow. You've essentially spent your 50 million, a massive amount of money, put it all into assets that then create a monthly yield. The great thing here is that everything you buy with that loan, with the debt that you've just got, $50 million of debt, everything you buy is tax-free. You're using your XRP without spending your XRP, getting tax-free cash, buying cash flowing assets that you can use to pay off the loan that you got in the first place. And when that loan is paid off, you've got the 10 apartment complexes, you haven't spent any XRP, and you've paid your loan off. It's ridiculous. It's money printing.
I win here and I win there. Now what?
And this is the way we need to be navigating, and certainly the way I'm going to be navigating in the future. So to summarize, there are 3 different ways that you take profits here. You take it the traditional way through Uphold, for example. I'm going to add to this right at the end as the last thing we talk about. Then we can also put up our XRP for an interest yield with banks and financial institutions, which is coming. Thirdly is a word. Thirdly, we can collateralize loans against the assets without spending any of the assets ourselves. And that is a tax-free way of acquiring assets that generate cash flow to pay off the loan, and then you're left with the assets afterwards anyway. But the final thing is something that I've talked about with a lot of multi-millionaires in this space. You know, I'm on these one-on-one calls a lot of the time with people, and they're sharing information with me, which is brilliant. And the name I've heard that comes up all the time when it comes to selling cryptocurrency and buying cryptocurrency is a firm called Caleb and Brown. I think they're based out of Australia. Now, here's what Caleb and Brown do. This isn't a sponsored segment or anything, although I would love to work with Caleb and Brown. Wink, wink, tag them in this. They essentially are a firm that, just like the old school days, you're able to kind of call up and say, hey, sell right now. And their percentage chance of actually being able to go through the sell quickly is considerably higher than going through an exchange. So when we go through an exchange to sell, it is possible. Let's zoom in. Sorry, I'll do this again. It's possible, and this is why we don't like exchanges, for exchanges to say, I know you want to sell, but we actually can't fulfill that sale. We can't do it right now. And so this is not optimal, right? If we have this massive price spike after the court case resolution or whatever, and you're trying to sell on the exchange and the exchange is like, how about no? Then you can't. But if through Caleb and Brown, you just call them and say, I want to sell at this price, do it right now. And the problem with exchanges too is that they have this like tolerance, and it could be 6% price tolerance based on where you want to sell and where they actually would sell. Whereas Caleb and Brown minimize that too. There's obviously a higher fee for Caleb and Brown than you would get on an exchange, but would you rather pay a higher fee for a higher degree of certainty of your sale? And all I know is that the very rich people are using Caleb and Brown, and we're going to be one of those people. So something to think about. Oh, and very soon we're going to be launching version 2 of the No Emotion clothing drop. Oh my goodness, there's like 5, 6, 7 garments that are going to be available on this drop. They've all got some crazy designs. I think there's something for everyone in there. So if you want to register for me to let you know when that new drop happens, it's coming soon, go down in the description below, click on noemotion.com, put your email in there, and I'll let you know as soon as it happens. There will also be a juicy discount code for those who do that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider watching the video below. It's the video that the algorithm thinks you would like the most. And if you like this video and you're on your way out, click like on your way out, leave a comment, let me know how you felt. Stay emotionless, and I'll see you in the next one.